Okay, so welcome to this webinar. My name's Alison White. I'm the head teacher at St Margaret's Primary School in Manchester. And the purpose of this webinar is to think about your journey from application to appointment as a newly qualified teacher. The facts: what does the NQT job market look like? There are over 450 full-time equivalent teachers in England. That's 96.5% of whom have qualified teacher status. And approximately 35,000 new teachers join the workforce every year, whereas only 20,000 retire. So therefore, it doesn't take much to do the sums. There's a surplus of teachers that don't get a job. The job market's very competitive and it's difficult to land your dream job without experience straight off. And so you've got to really do something about standing out from the crowd. So your career path, what are your options? Well, as an NQT, your priority is passing your induction period, which is usually 3 terms. It can be done in 2 terms, but this is very rare. And really what you need to do is get it done as soon as possible so there's nothing hanging over you. Think about your ultimate aim. Where do you see yourself in 3, 5 years and beyond? Think about where do you see yourself living in, your location? What sort of school do you want to be in? An inner city, a rural school? And whether you see yourself as being a class teacher long term for the rest of your career, or whether you want to move into leadership, deputy headship or assistant head. And if you're going to think about that, then you need to plan for it and talk to the people when you get the opportunity who are holding these jobs in school. So, like I've already said, your ultimate aim is to get your NQT induction done. And you've got several options as an NQT, as a newly qualified teacher. You could do supply. This could be day-to-day assignments or a long-term supply such as maternity cover. And think if you take this option, is your agency, the supply agency, going to support you through your NQT induction? On a day-to-day supply, this may be difficult. You could go for a permanent contract in the UK, so that's applying for a permanent job advertised on the city websites or in the national newspapers. And again, think about how the school are going to support you through your NQT induction. You could go for a fixed term contract in the UK. This gives you a little bit more flexibility, as it could be something trying a school out for a term or in a particular setting to see if it suits you before you make long-term plans. And again, would the school support you with a term of your NQT induction? And then finally, there's the overseas contract. These are rare though for newly qualified teachers, as they ask for at least 2 years experience as a minimum, and therefore they're often not suitable as an NQT. Think about if you are doing fixed term contracts or through supply, a long term supply, how you could be flexible and be prepared to meet schools with perhaps negotiating over your 10% non-contact time and not taking that up if they're agreeable to putting you through your NQT term. Okay, so supply teaching could be a fantastic starting point for your career. See, it's important that you realise that a career in teaching isn't easy. You may want time to just step back after you've finished your PGC or your QTS course and find the right school for you, and also being able to juggle your homework commitments. If you've got lots of things like homework commitments or you move into a new area, supply teaching may be a good option because it provides a number of benefits. It's crucial that you get the right school for you, because schools can be quite lonely places once you're in your classroom by yourself. So supply teaching gives you an option to try before you buy. So there's flexibility. You can attend appointments, family events, or care for your family members or look after young children. You've got autonomy. As a supply teacher, you can avoid some of the aspects of the job, e.g. staff meeting or pupil progress meetings. There's variety. You can test drive lots of different settings to see if they're for you, as getting it wrong first can put you off forever, and we don't want that. New hobbies, if you're interested outside the classroom and you perhaps taking up, I don't know, something like underwater basket weaving and it takes the whole weekend, you may want to do that for 3 or 4 days and then do supply for the other 3 days. And relocation gives you lots of options of moving into a new area, and in fact, if you've recently moved, or supply teaching can be a real insight into the community, its problems and its strengths. So, moving on to your journey from application to appointment. This is crucial. You've got to do your research. Use as much as you can. Look for websites, ask at university, ask friends who may have already got positions in around areas, and read the school's last Ofsted report. It can give you an insight. Visit the school. Don't be fooled. As soon as you walk through those doors, you're on show. Be on time. Any problems, ring the school so they know that you're coming, but they're not waiting around for you. Think about what you're wearing. Don't go in chewing gum, and please, please, please turn your mobile phone off. It's nothing worse as a head teacher when you're showing a group of people round and their phones are going. Use it as a fact-finding mission. Ask questions, but don't be pushy. What do you want to find out about this school? What are your interests? Do they follow your interests? Are they into the arts? If you're a musician, are they interested in developing that area? If you are a creative person, you want to offer an after-school activity or languages, ask them about that, and also ask them about what support is given to newly qualified teachers. But most importantly, this school, you've got to get right in your first placement, in your first job, and think, can I see myself working here, and can I see myself working for the head? And if the answer's no for either of those questions, don't bother wasting your time applying or the time of the school. After you finish your visit, ring to say thanks, always looks good, and puts another gold star on your card, so to say. Okay, the application process. Application now goes, it's really important that you know that you have to fill in every part in the application form. Don't leave gaps. Under safer recruitment now, heads are faced with knowing that forms have to be filled in and that they're concurrent with their information. If they ask for grades for GCSEs and A-level, put them, and ensure all your information is correct. There's nothing worse than if you are in a recruitment drive and somebody hasn't given you the correct email for your referees. It holds it up. And under safer recruitment, you shouldn't be sending CVs. Okay, ask somebody to check it for you so that they can see if there's any gaps. In your letter, make sure you get your key facts correct. Cross-reference it to the job description and job specification. If these have numbers on, link these numbers with aspects of your letter. And think about your presentation, your type of font and your justification. Please, you are going into a school to teach children, so if you can't write a letter of application and present it well, it doesn't say very much for what you're going to be able to do in the classroom. You're going to be teaching children in order to use grammar and functions of text correctly, so if you can't do it yourself, it's not going to look very good. Okay. Think about what's going to make you stand out from the rest. Grab the reader in the first paragraph and use the information from the visit. Mention you've been and visited. Make sure that you do that. And think about in your letter as well. What are your USPs, your unique selling points? What makes you stand out from the crowd? And think about giving examples of your practice. Show that you're reflective as a practitioner. If you've just finished university, then think about how you can say, well, on my placement I used this or I did this and then I reflected back on it. Don't be too generic and think about attention to detail. The number of letters that I get that don't use my name or actually use a head teacher from a different school's name because the person hasn't bothered to change it. Be careful about that. Okay. Indicate in your letter as well that you'd be committed to the wider school life. What can you offer? Keep to the word length and think about social media. Oh, please. I go on Facebook to have a look at people who are potentially uh, applying for jobs at my school, and if I'm gripped with a load of photographs of you out drunk with your friends, it doesn't look great. But also think about your email address. If your email address is something like lottithehottie@gmail.com, it isn't very professional, so set up a professional one. Okay. Don't claim to be the finished article. You're just coming out into the world of teaching. I've been doing it 22 years and I'm not the finished article. So please don't claim that you're Einstein on everything. And don't write lots on educational philosophy. I can read that in books. I want to know about you and what you're going to do for our children. Okay. So we've done the application. We've got through to the interview process. What do we need to do? We need to make sure that we dress appropriately. First impressions count. Don't come like the man dressed in the orange suit on the slide. However, it would give us a giggle. Arrive in good time and if possible do a dummy run. Think about in your interview about your body language. If you sat there slumped in the chair or you've got your arms folded, what's that saying about you? Or if you're like myself, who when I get nervous start gesticulating with my hands, put your hands together and put them on your lap so it stops you from doing it. But really look at the person that you're talking to, make eye contact and move your body around so that they know that you're interested. Okay, so remember you're on interview the moment you walk through the building. Staff and children will be forming opinions of you as soon as you step through that door. Be enthusiastic, show your passion and energy. It goes a long way. And show you know the school when you're answering the questions. Use your research that you've done. Expect the unexpected. Interview panels can be traditional and there can be children's panels, there can be role play exercises and there can be much more. So really do expect the unexpected. A head teacher colleague of mine put some articles on a table for an interview process and asked the teachers to pick one and use it as the main point for the lesson. It's quite a difficult task, I felt. Anyway, remember the interview is a two-way process. You ask questions. You're finding out whether this is the right school for you just as much as the school's finding out whether it's you're the right person for them. Be prepared to discuss recent educational changes, especially if you're straight out of university. Use that knowledge. Heads want new blood in their schools with recent educational knowledge. I've just put some questions here that you can use. The settling in question, there's always one of them at the start. There may be questions about classroom practice or assessment, or teamwork, or knowledge of the curriculum and planning, or safeguarding, or parents. Think about what are the key things of the school. If the school is predominantly English and additional language, think about, well, there's potentially going to be a question linked to that. If it's got high special needs or an autism unit attached to it, there's going to be a question about that. Okay. There may also be questions about behaviour. Okay. So answering questions. Think about it as 4 concentric circles. There's you, there's the school, there's the locality, and there's the national agenda. So let's just put this into practice. If you were asked what makes a school a safe and happy place, you might start it off with, well, of course, a school is a safe and happy place at the start in my classroom, I have to build relationships with the children, make sure I'm approachable, that I follow health and safety and complete risk assessments. And then as a school, it would be about following the school policies on the safeguarding and the child protection, and also about the health and safety. And other things that the school have to follow is things like signing in procedures or the systems of reporting children's absence. This then stands out to working with local multi-agencies, sharing information about children in order to keep them safe. And obviously, there's the national picture about Ofsted. It is reported, safeguarding is reported, and therefore it's of significant importance. So you're building the question from yourself up into the school, up into the local, up into the national. Doesn't always apply to all questions, but it's quite a good structure of answering questions. And then there's that added dilemma about what to ask at the end of the interview. Don't just ask a question for the sake of it. Think carefully about what you want to find out. What haven't you already had answered? You could ask about the support programme for NQTs, or possibly what year group you would be teaching if you were successful. But don't just ask a question for the sake of it. And then once you've done that and you've got somebody ringing you up offering you a new job, well done to you. Have a glass of wine or whatever to celebrate. But now the hard work really does begin. Okay, good luck.